Dialogue is so important to your memoir. We have to hear the people in your past. We have to hear them talk in their own unique style. So I always find I'm encouraging people to add dialogue rather than telling them to cut dialogue. Now, there are some writers who tend to have a sort of script writing background, or they focus more on putting in a lot of dialogue. And I just want to talk about an issue that sometimes can come up, and maybe you see this in some of your memoir writing, and that is when the dialogue on the page appears completely like we're reading a script. If you've ever seen a script for a movie or a TV show, there really isn't much explanation of anything other than, Joe walks to the side of the room or something like that. And there's mostly just dialogue. We have to be careful that in putting in dialogue, we want dialogue, we don't overdo it, or at least we don't also remember that people have bodies and they're not just disembodied voices on the page. And here's an example. This was a story one of my students wrote about leaving a university campus at night in a snowstorm. She's by herself. She's going to her car, and near her car is a car full of a bunch of young men. You can kind of get the picture here, right? And then she has this section of the story with dialogue. And let me just read this dialogue, because I can read it very quickly. It's all dialogue, really. There's only a few lines of prose here. Hey, you, with the curly hair, yeah? Oh, I thought you were someone else. Okay. Your curly hair threw me off. Okay. What's up? Nothing. Do you want me to help you take the snow off your car? No, I'm okay, thanks. The guy's warm hands graze over my hands, and he pulls the snow remover. I stare at him. So what's a pretty girl like you doing here all by yourself? I was studying for my test. Do you go to UTM? Yeah, do you? No, but I'm going to start here in January because I'm transferring here over from UOIT. Okay. A car door slams. Hey, Ronnie, you ready, man? Yeah, 1 second. So just in case you get lost and I can't find you, do you want to give me your number? A tall, black-bearded guy stands behind Ronnie. He nods his head with a smirk. How you doing? He says. The smoke from the guy's cigarette rises up my nose. I cough. So, honey, give me your number. I have to go. Here, just put it in my phone yourself. Yo, Ronnie, call her to see if she gives you the right number. So here's a woman who, late at night, all by herself, bunch of guys come and they're talking to her, and this guy's trying to get her number. I think the dialogue is realistic. It sounds natural. That's fine. That's not the issue. But one of the issues here is there's nothing between the dialogue. So we need some sort of action between it. Here we do have the guy's warm hands graze over my hands. And then he nods his head with a smirk. But I think we need a little more detail in between those lines of dialogue, expressing, whatever the facial expression he had, or, what she was doing with her body. Was she kind of closing herself off? Was she trying to turn away? Or was she open? That kind of thing. Just fill in these spaces between these lines of dialogue, so it doesn't just come across as disembodied voices talking at each other. Also, just a point of punctuation, the period should be inside the last quote mark. And I would put in a few attributions like he said or I said, just to kind of remind us who's speaking here and there. But the main thing is to get some prose in between that dialogue that shows the physical body reacting to this dialogue and position between the two characters and that kind of thing. So just keep that in mind, that you don't want a full script, a long page of just dialogue of people talking. Make sure you've got other things happening. And I know in writing TV shows, script writers for TV shows or movies, they'll have the dialogue, but they'll also often have the characters doing something while they're talking. So it's not people are just, standing there like this, talking to each other. They're doing things while they're talking. And so get some of that in there to break up all this dialogue.